Okay, Kelly, thanks so much for joining. I think you're like so well positioned to explain what on earth is going on here with the nomination of Casey Means, and the reaction that we've had from both like the traditional MAGA faction, like Laura Loomer is kind of flipping out and saying that they've nominated a Marxist, but then also Nicole Shanahan has publicly come out, kind of against RFK, saying that maybe he lied to her and that he had assured her, when she supported his campaign, that the Means brother and sister, none of them would be part of the administration or would receive a nomination. So what is going on here?
I know it's such a wild day. So I know a lot of these people, and actually I'm friends with both, with the Means and with Nicole, and love them all. And everyone's so just passionate about where we are with MAHA. And Nicole, of course, has been just foundational in Bobby's nomination, even getting him to the point where Trump was, willing to engage with Bobby on, coming onto his team. And of course, that was also that actually going back a little bit was a relationship that was negotiated by Callie Means, putting Bobby in touch with Trump. So there was that going. But of course, at that point, Bobby had so much following, in part because of Nicole Shanahan's support, both financially and ideologically. She's really an extremely smart person that's extremely passionate, and her life mission is to make America healthy. And she and Nicole covers all different subjects, which obviously her primary is vaccines. She also has been really involved in regenerative farming, food, 5G, now geoengineering, really bringing these messages out. So she's been doing this for a long time. And I think where you go back then, probably 2 years ago with the Means siblings in their book, Good Energy.
Who are the Means siblings, Kelly? Just for people who don't know who they are.
Yes, the Means siblings. So they are this dynamic brother and sister team. And they published the book Good Energy, which is still a New York Times bestseller. And what it is it's a tell-all fascinating book that I think hit at exactly the right time. It's something that other people have spoken about, but this just was a combination that came together because you had Callie Means, who's the brother, who worked as a food lobbyist for years and is extremely smart. He also has a long political history where he has worked with the Republican Party historically. He left the food lobby when he realized that he was basically, pushing poisons, and that our functional health and the root cause of disease and chronic disease in this country is, in his mind, based in our horrible food system. And then and Casey Means is, she went to Stanford. She was a doctor. She was in surgical training for, I think it was ENT. She writes about this in her book. And she was performing all these surgeries on people with sinus issues. And she realized, oh my gosh, the sinus issues are actually underlying massive inflammation, like probably stemming from the gut. So really changed her direction to realize a lot. And actually their mother died as well, which is a big, of pancreatic cancer, I believe it was. And they really feel like she had gone down this path because of just this lack of understanding of foundational biology and root cause of disease. So they were very motivated on this front. So she ended up leaving Stanford and really transitioned to focusing big time on functional medicine and root cause and cures to disease through food. So she had Dr. Casey's Kitchen and really did deep dives. As a big she celebrates food. So needless to say, both of these two people both siblings come from a very food-based perspective. That is definitely what a lot of MAHA talks about. But the issue is that really where Bobby first took off in his movement and behind Children's Health Defense has been vaccines. And that really is why Children's Health Defense was founded. I actually used to do a show once a month on Good Morning CHD that was on food. And the founder of Moms Across America, Zen Honeycutt, also had a food show for a while, but that was very, very slim in terms of what Children's Health Defense covered or was interested in. It was always vaccines. And so the early momentum behind RFK Jr.'s rise was really these moms of vaccine injured kids that, put him up as their leader and champion, and he was doing that well. And so I think that what you see in MAHA is there's a divide between the food people. I mean, not necessarily a divide. Like, I don't think there's animosity in general, but there are people that focus on food. There are people that actually focus on geoengineering. There are people that focus on vaccines. So there are different aspects. And the truth is that you look at the situation and the rise of Bobby and MAHA, and it's really pretty much food is what you're hearing about, and some complaints about vaccines, but food is really taken over. And I think to those champions of vaccines, it's really hard to see food take over when they feel like they put in all this effort and money and time behind the vaccines, and it's not getting the headlines that they would like. And so then suspicions raised and everything. And so that's sort of the perspective that I see. I personally am, this is why I am excited about Casey Means, because she's someone that understands what I personally am very passionate about, is the pesticide situation and emergency. The glyphosate issue is enormous. She actually came out and said that she thinks that the pesticide liability shield situation that's happening right now, where states are trying to, Bayer and ChemChina are trying to pass a liability shield in state legislation. So if you get sick from 16,000 chemicals, you can't sue the chemical manufacturer. So this has passed in North Dakota. They're trying to pass it in North Carolina right now. In Georgia, it is a nightmare. She found this to be one of the very most pressing things that's happening in our time. And with good reason. She's one of the very few people that's spoken about it or understands how catastrophic the situation is. She's been really passionate. She's even, in her book, she mentions glyphosate, regenerative farming. I know from social media, she has a worm composting bin. And so this is someone that's very aligned with the regenerative farming, pesticide stuff. I don't know how she feels about vaccines. I haven't ever talked to her about it or seen it, because I don't think it's her focus. So I think that's maybe what things are stemming from.
So it's a food versus vaccines focus split.
Yes, I would say that's what it is.
And,
and once again, to clarify, it's not that, like, I care about vaccines too. It's just not what I focus my work on. So,
sure. Yeah.
I think that there's cross interest.
So I think for MAGA traditionalists that don't know what functional health is, or just people in general, they are called, like Laura Loomer is calling her a witch doctor because she doesn't have a current medical license. She left the medical establishment. And I think MAHA people would see that as a plus. That she's sort of she's like based in foundational health and medicine. So I understand that aspect to it, but something that's come up and something that I saw on a podcast, it was this guy, Jack Kruse, in conversation with Callie Means. And one of the things that's come up is their financial interests in their businesses, which are functional medicine businesses. I think it's called TrueMed.
Yeah.
And there's also a metabolism app. So the accusation is that they won't speak out against COVID vaccines or mRNA vaccines because they don't want to alienate their customer base, and that there's a financial interest there. What do you?
I mean, I just don't.
Is it not true? Like,
I don't know. I don't know that that's
is
true.
that what Nicole is like? Is that what Nicole is getting at?
It might be. I don't know what Nicole's relationship is with Jack or that. And I don't know enough to know what her exact issues are with it. But I can imagine that could be true, because TrueMed has been wildly successful. I actually love TrueMed because finally you can use your health spending money. That's what TrueMed is. You can take your flexible spending insurance money that you get, from your health plan, and apply it towards functional medicine. So the kind of functional doctors and the blood tests and all that cost so much money that the average person can't possibly access it. And meanwhile, it's like totally root cause and get to the bottom of your problems. So that's what it is. But yes, I mean, like all of us probably who are starting to speak out, if you are involved in having investors in your company, it's a scary risk to take. But I will say that I have seen Callie Means talk about vaccines a number of times. So I don't know that he's not totally avoiding the topic. I just think his passion is food, at least from what I've seen. I mean, I haven't talked to him about it, but I did see him start to come out and talk about vaccines.
Okay. And then, yeah, there's like that financial interest there. And then Nicole said something kind of strange, which is that in her conversations with Bobby, that she doesn't know who he's reporting to, and it's not President Trump.
Yeah, I have no idea.
I
have brainstormed, like, I wonder who it is.
Like, where is this? Who is she
I wish I had
to?
info.
And
I don't know.
Nicole Shanahan is like a smart, grounded.
She's so smart. And you know what?
Person.
She knows a lot of people and a lot of things.
Yeah. So I'd love to know what she's insinuating.
Yeah.
But I think the general insinuation is that the Means siblings stay away from the topic of vaccines because of the business they're in, of not alienating customers. And then some people would say that there's some influence on the Trump administration from Big Pharma.
I mean, one would think there could be. I mean, I'm certain that there's a ton of, at least from the ag side, which is what I follow. I mean, I know that there's tons of influence still, it's brutal.
And why would she insist that the Means not have a position in the Trump administration? Why would that be like part of her deal with RFK to support his campaign? If it sounds like their interests are aligned on food and foundational health, but there's some divergence there that I'm not understanding.
Oh yeah. And I don't know. I wish I had an answer. I don't know what happened, but I do know that, Nicole is she's very connected and talks to a lot of people, and she must have some reason for saying that, but I only know my understanding.
Well, it'll be fascinating to see where this goes. One last question. Are you happy with things so far? Like, as a MAHA mom, 4 months in or whatever it is.
Oh my gosh,
happy with what's happening?
Oh, I'm so thrilled. I'm so thrilled. And I know on May 22nd, there's going to be a report. And I think pesticides are going to soon start entering the conversation a bit more, which is what I'm thrilled about. And I think that the appointees have been just fantastic in HHS. Jay Bhattacharya, such a smart guy. And I just, my only concern is in the case of a few grants that have been taken away that are actually really important grants. I'm hopeful that they'll be reinstated, because some are dealing with food allergies and inflammation in kids, and are very MAHA based, that were cut sort of needlessly. So that would be my one critique of disappointment. But other than that, I think like Bobby's moving at record speed, and it's really exciting to see. And I can't wait to see what the next things are. Like, I know he's going to continue to push forward on the generally recognized as safe issue. That is how we approve a lot of things in this country with no testing, by acting like they're perfectly safe. So why would we need to test them? GMOs fall in that, which is crazy. And so, yeah, I think it's going to be amazing to see.
Cool. And sorry, 2 more questions. One, is geoengineering just a polite term for chemtrails?
That's right.
Are those interchangeable terms? Like, you get training chemtrails, you're a nut.
That's right.
Geoengineering is the polite term.
Well, actually, so it went from chemtrails, which you wouldn't get any, like, some people got banned on social media for saying chemtrails. So then it turned to geoengineering, and now it's stratospheric aerosol injection, which is the actual technical term for chemtrails, which is most definitely happening. And yeah, and that's an area I was so glad that Nicole took on, because that needs to be raised so high. And I'm so glad, because Bobby actually recently was talking about how they need to get to the bottom of it. I mean, it's horrible for farmers and, well, for all of us. And I don't know if you live in an area that's being sprayed, which seems to be the entire country. There's now, like, if you go out, your cars will be covered with like a yucky kind of powdery, sticky substance, and that is what is coming down from the chemtrails. So, man, it needs to happen yesterday. And states are trying to ban it. They are banning it, but then the chemtrails keep happening because they're being sprayed in the federal airspace, not in the state airspace. So at a certain altitude, you don't have control as a state or ownership of that space. And so now Florida is furious about it. And I mean, it's a big thing, but thank goodness it's being highlighted.
Yeah. Well, Kelly, thank you so much for this, this talk. It's a super interesting soap opera in the MAHA world that I think a lot of people don't understand
I
because
think
they're
that
not in this like foundational health world. And
no.
the podcast that Callie was on with Jack Cruz is called the Danny Jones podcast. If anyone wants to see that.